Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Dogs. I'm Susan Allen Medium. I'm an evidential psychic medium and animal communicator. This podcast is a place to share insights into the spirit world and soulful stories of animals and what they can teach us about a life aligned with love. So grab your mug and let's dive into some magic together. Hi, everybody. It's Susan Allen Medium.
Hello, Susan. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Good. It is episode 6. Do you feel like this is like old hat for you now?
I always like talking about the animals, so I don't know. Is it old hat? I'm fascinated by the whole thing. I'm still
Right?
fascinated.
And I'm excited today because we're going to take it in a little bit of a different direction. I just want to remind you before we get started that when you share the podcast with your friends, when you text an episode to share it, tell people about it, rate and review on the platform that you're listening to us on, you help us get the podcast out to others, and we so appreciate that.
We do. Thank you.
So, we've spent a lot of time in the past 5 episodes talking about our soul connections with pets, what they reveal in readings, but sometimes I think we forget that you talk to all of the animals. And all of them, I mean the raccoon that keeps taking residence up in my tree, the birds that come to the feeder, the large,
Sure.
the small, the untamed, even an opossum in a parking lot. So we've got some stories to tell today about the wild world of animals.
Absolutely. I love that.
Now, you said you may have talked about this before, but I don't quite remember.
Okay.
Do you remember when you first tried communicating with something in the wild or when this just sort of happened?
Well, I would take walks with Rosie, right? And I would say like
Hmm.
she was my connector to all this because I was so in love with that dog. And I would just get into a trance looking at her wiggle butt. I just think not being on a device and just focusing on how much love you have for your pet and puts you kind of like in a trance, you know?
Right?
And a very healing time for not just your dog. Your dog's like already connected to the light. It's healing time for you to be present in a sacred space. And I would be walking her, and just like all of a sudden, a bird would appear and look at me. And I would just start a whole conversation with the bird. And I don't know if I spoke about this when I was living in Marina Del Rey, and this bird was feeding his mate, and it was a full-size bird. Did I talk about that?
I don't think so.
So it was a full-size bird, and I'm like, wow, why are you feeding her?
I've seen it with cardinals.
You have.
Yeah.
Well, I had never seen them before. And he said, well, she got injured and I'm just taking care of
Oh,
her. And it was
oh,
so cool, right? And it wasn't a cardinal because in California, we don't have those birds. And I've had the conversation with that bird. Or when I was walking Rosie on a golf course and I went like into the brush, into the woods, and I would be having conversations with the animals and they'd pop up out of the ground or they'd be on a branch and I would just feel in that zone. I think I talked about it in the last podcast about the first professional wildlife reading I had with the organic farmer.
okay.
And she reached out to me and said, "Look, I'm having an issue with the my crops being eaten, and you need to address this." And she was convinced it was gophers.
Right.
Do you remember that one?
Yes, now I do.
And
Yes.
I said, "Yeah, I would love to try. I would, if you're willing to try, I'm willing to try." So she booked a session on my website and let's see. I love the opportunity, right? And the gopher was like, "It's not us. It's the deer." And I was so fascinated. And she was like, "Oh, I saw deer footprints or hoof prints, hoof, whatever that word is." She goes, "But they don't like this crop." And I'm like, "Well, evidently they do like it, you know?"
Yeah.
So she said, "Oh God, I got to put up better fencing." And I talked about the possum at the gym, so I don't think you want to hear that again, do you?
No, you've never talked
What?
about the
No.
opossum in the high rise.
Oh my God, really?
I know.
I never talked about that?
We need to.
Oh my God, that's a good one. So I moved from the beach to the valley, but I still had my gym guy that I know 30 years and I couldn't settle where we lived. It wasn't my scene. It was like an hour away from where I lived and I couldn't get my groove where I was. So I was commuting, to this gym on the west side and I'm living in the valley on a horse ranch with no horses. We had just moved here. And my idea was I was going to have horses and rescue animals. And anyway, that did not come to pass because I got really busy with
Hmm.
this work. Anyway, long story short, I go to leave the gym. He, my friend that would work me out, and he couldn't believe it. This woman is screaming to save this possum, and there's a 90-degree like incline to come down into the basement to park your car. It's like this really deep incline. Her apparent fiance or boyfriend is screaming from the car, "Get away!
Oh,
He's gonna give you rabies." Just like this is they look crazy possums, but they're the most amazing animals. They don't carry
no,
rabies,
they do
folks,
so
okay? At
much for the
all.
environment too. They're so misunderstood.
Right. So much. They're amazing creatures. And the guy is screaming, "I'm a doctor." And I'm like, they don't give rabies. So she just was this angelic woman, and she's guiding this possum down this so it doesn't get run over, right?
Right.
And it's running back and forth, like
Ugh.
swerving, and she's running after it. And I'm like, "Get it down here and I'll take it." I don't know what made me say that, right? So she gets it down, and then I get it towards this bag. I have like this earthquake preparedness bag in my trunk that the zipper is broken. So I empty out the whole bag,
Okay.
right? It has toilet paper, it has sneakers, it has raincoats, a flashlight, like, in case I'm on the road during an earthquake. And I tell the possum, she's gone. I said to the possum, "If you jump in my bag, I will help you." And do you know this thing jumped in my bag? I pushed it in front of him
Yeah.
and he had to hop in. And now I'm realizing, wow, I can't close the zipper.
Yeah.
It's broken. So now I have to get on the 405 freeway
Freeway.
that's 6 lanes. It's 6 lanes, right?
Yeah. With the possum in
So
the car.
I'm in my far right lane,
Oh my gosh. Where did this possum, was it sitting in your front seat?
sitting on the floor of my
Oh my
front
God.
seat. And I'm doing 40 miles an hour because I'm thinking if this thing jumps out, we're
Yeah.
screwed on the
Yeah.
freeway. So I'm talking to it. "Stay calm. I'm going to help you. I'm going to be there for you. Don't jump out of the bag because we're on a freeway." And I'm having this whole conversation. And folks, don't do what I
Yeah.
do.
Don't try
Please
this at
don't do
home,
what I do.
please.
Yeah, don't do this at home because I don't think it's safe on a freeway, right? Long story short, I get it home and we get it into a box and I put a can of cat food, wet cat food in there, and I put water in there. And by the morning, both were gone. And he started to look better and he was sleeping. And I kid you not, I wish I kept that baby,
Oh,
but I had
yeah.
cats. And I remember one of my cat took a baby possum from the dog run into my house at night that was lost and he didn't kill it. He knew it was a baby and he was bringing it to me. So I didn't want to risk having cats with a possum. So the next day the animal is in the box and I drive it to Calabasas Wildlife Center and there's a woman at the desk and she's training somebody. And I said, if there's any way you, and I've taken so many animals here, like it's like the place near my house. And I said, if there's anything you can do to let me know the condition of this particular, so she calls me because they don't call you and
No,
let you
they
know
don't.
when they don't have the time.
Right. And so
But
many times they
she,
don't know which one is which
yeah,
anymore. I mean, they have so many.
exactly. Yeah. So she calls me and says, I took him or her, and she said because they were going to euthanize him because he was
Oh,
completely blind.
oh,
She goes, but I live on a ranch and I am a wildlife rehabber, and I took him because, and I couldn't believe what she did every morning. She chopped up yams and like the food she made for these animals looked better than the food that I cook. Like pots and pots of fresh vegetables and fruit. And she had a whole horse stall filled with possums.
wow.
So this baby got to live 2 more years, and she said, I think he was somebody's pet. I think
Oh,
he was fed because she said he was the friendliest possum she had ever had. And she took a picture of him on her shoulder, and she said, what do you want to name him? And
oh.
I said, Sweetheart, because he was a sweetheart, because he didn't jump out of my car on the
Well, and he
freeway.
jumped into the bag and he was
I
blind.
know.
How
Is
do we
that the
even?
craziest?
Yeah. And that's probably why he was so like nervous and scared because he didn't know where he was and he's blind and he doesn't know how to get out of that
Yes.
parking structure. Oh.
Yes. Oh my God. It was such a precious story.
Possums are amazing at the Anderson Humane where I volunteer. We have a ambassador animal, and it's one that she just got imprinted on or couldn't be returned to the wild for whatever reason. But now she is like a pet, and her name is Isabella, and you can feed her blueberries at all of our events. Um,
Oh.
but they are amazing creatures. Sadie,
Mm.
my half coonhound, half Great Pyrenees dog. She's wild, and I think it was a year or two ago, there was a baby, like you said, not a infant baby, but a young possum, and it would come into our yard, and this was happening every night for a while, and she would take it, and it would play dead, like possums do, and she would carry it around the yard. And then she'd drop it and leave it for the night. And then my husband would go out, see it. He'd cover it with like a baby pool or something from the kids, like, oh, leave it alone. We tried to stop her from doing this, but she would do it every night and the possum would come back. And then in the morning it would be gone because it would wake up from its like slumber or whatever they do. And this just went on and on. It was crazy. Like she didn't hurt it, it didn't hurt her,
Yeah.
but it kept happening. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think it was looking for like a mommy.
Has this happened before where like wildlife rehabilitators or rescuers ask for your help with any of their cases?
You know, I don't get a lot of that. I don't. I mean, you've emailed me.
Yes, I know. What do I do with this bird? What does this thing need? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've rescued a lot of animals in my front yard and my backyard,
Mm-hmm.
swooping in after a hawk scared a bird into my pool
Yes.
and I scooped it up. And I've done it, I think, like everywhere I've lived. There was a possum in my marina. Like, they just always go to the same place. So for generations, I think possums would live under my shed.
Mm-hmm.
And they all would like tell each other, hey, this is a cool place to live,
Right.
come back here. I've had experiences with deer walking past, where I would be on vacation. I go to this place. I don't want to say where because I don't want a whole bunch of people coming.
Right.
There's a special place that there isn't a lot of building, and the animals roam free. So there's wild turkeys and there's quail that are so freaking cute. Little quail with the little things sticking on top of their head,
They are
running after
so
each other.
cute. I only saw them when we went to
Oh,
California and we were going up
yep.
the mountain to this place we rented. And yeah, I was like, what is that? They've got this, they look like cartoon characters.
So cute and funny, right?
Yeah.
And the deer will just like, they're very used to the people. And I could just like have conversations with them when they're walking past. And I remember being outside with my contractor once, and this buck walked by with this huge rack, limping. He was huge.
Wow.
He's just limping, he was still walking by. And my God, I looked at my contractor and I'm like, he's injured. Oh my God. And he goes, honey, he has the best life here. Don't feel bad for him.
Hmm.
He's got a harem, but the cars, the locals are more adept to dealing with deer and driving slow, but you get like people visiting up there and they drive too fast. And it's heartbreaking for us, when an injured deer crawls into somebody's backyard because there's all kinds of scavenger birds and mountain lions. So
Yeah.
we never know. So we're really careful. We found out that there was a mountain lion in the preserve because there's a whole preserve and it had a kill. So we could, and it was spotted at 4 p.m. So nobody was walking on it's the reserve, not the preserve. Everybody was leashing their dogs, and now there's a leash law that you can't let your dog. Well, I don't let my dogs off a leash, but there are people that let their dogs off leash.
Mine would never come back.
Well, they chase the deer and they
Yeah.
chase the wildlife, so it's not a nice thing to let your folks who's ever listening to this, don't let your dogs off leash in a reserve or a wooded area because we need the wildlife to feel safe.
Yes.
Thank you.
How do the wild animals differ in their communication with you, or do they differ when you're talking to a domesticated like dog or cat? Then you are talking with a deer, a squirrel, a rabbit, a bird. How is it different?
It's not. I don't think it's different at all, right? It's just like when I talk with a client about their pet, living or deceased, I'm very specific and zoning in, and I open up with a prayer and I close with a prayer. It's very specific. When I'm out just walking my dog and I see a deer, I'm just having like a very lighthearted conversation, almost like the conversation you would have, when you go pick up a newspaper with the guy that's selling you the newspaper.
Right.
It's a little bit lighter. I'm not on the clock. I don't feel this need to really give a clear communication. I am more relaxed too.
Sure.
But it's almost like, I could stand up in front of a room of people and give messages and not have fear. Where if you told me, let's give you a topic to talk about, Susan, and follow this outline or follow this script, I would faint from nerves. But when I'm doing this work, it just feels like the most natural thing because I get messages and I give them, and I don't feel scared or nervous or self-involved or conscious. All of that disappears. And I think that's when you know you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Hmm. So it's not like with them, like the birds, the wild animals. Sometimes you hear stories where a communicator, a medium, can see a spirit, and then the spirit's like, oh gosh, she can hear me. And then they start communicating. Did they do that? Or are they like, oh, no, you can talk back to me? Or they just start talking to everybody all the time?
I think it's a natural state that I've been in since I'm a child.
Hmm.
I think I came in this way and I have specific ways to connect. But I think I was born this way, but then I used specific steps to get to where I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's your own personal development. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something I learned it from a horse and a
Yeah.
dog. It's like
Okay, so a lot of people get signs from loved ones through wild animals, like they see
Mhm.
hawks or cardinals or butterflies. How do you explain how that happens? And how do we know when it's actually a sign of a loved one? Or so many people say it is the loved one, right? That cardinal is my dad. And I don't really understand that. But how do we know when it's a sign and how are they using wild animals to talk to us?
I did a reading this week, and it was for a well-known person. I went to their home in Hollywood Hills, and as I'm channeling, the craziest thing happened. And it was in my sight, but not the person that was really grieving, but it was in their husband's line of vision. So he saw it too. So it was the husband and myself that saw this bird, and they've lived in this house like 30 years, and they told me that he had never seen this before, where a bird tried to get into the
Oh
house
my,
through the window. It was crazy, but it didn't injure itself and there wasn't a crash, but it was like helicoptering right at the window.
uh-huh.
And then I was talking to a woman that was quite ill, and I look out my window, and there was the bird that always shows up for me when I'm doing my readings, or before a specific time, or when I'm thinking, hey, I need a sign, that bird will show up. Now, I think signs and symbols appear to people, but I think they cannot believe it.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
They won't believe it and can't believe it. And the more that we come to this with a childlike spirit, with reality isn't everything it's cracked up to be, said Albert Einstein, the more that we come to this with great love and openness, the more signs and symbols we will get.
Hmm.
And I believe energetically that spirit can move winged creatures quite easily to
Yes.
have them show up. Dragonflies, butterflies, white monarchs, yellows, birds. Okay.
Birds.
I mean, when you get symbolically a dragonfly passing your windshield when you're doing 70 miles an hour on the freeway in the heat, it's pretty, I think it's significant. And I think it's the spirit world telling you that you're here for a reason and this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And we need to lighten up. Like, we are so automatons. Like, we need to lighten up and stop worrying so much as a culture, as a collective.
Hmm.
And I think that's why we turn to the spirit world, because our lives are just not working being enmeshed in the to-do list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just relax and have fun and enjoy your life. We have to connect with nature. We have to connect with our higher self, whether it's a prayer or meditation or a mantra. That's how we unravel the crap. Does that make sense?
It does. And especially when you talk about approaching signs and symbols, which we've talked about before, with a spirit of openness and curiosity, because you can doubt it, but then what does that do? It just negates the message.
It does. And the spirit, and here's the thing, the more that you get excited over something so silly like a
Yeah.
feather, they give you more and
Right.
more and more. It's like pile it on.
Right.
I saw a feather in a place that I just wasn't expecting to see a feather. And I was like, oh my God, I love
Uh-huh.
that? And it just, I don't know, it just puts a spark in my step. I still get so excited and I'm always thanking them for working through me. And I think that we need to be in more gratitude moment by moment at the awe of this world. Even though we're living in a time that none of us expected we'd be living in, but I think there's so much light in this world and so much beauty. And we just have to open our eyes and recognize that light
Mhm.
and that love. There's so much more light than there is dark. There's so much more light. And if we focus on the light and the good, it grows so fast. So fast.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you one more thing about wild animals, and I've been saving this. I have not texted you this yet. Do you have your phone by you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I'm
do.
going to text you a picture. My question is
Okay. Yeah.
what your impressions are of animals that are domesticated but wild and like zoos and how that affects the animal. If you've ever visited a zoo,
Yeah.
this story came across my Facebook
Oh,
yesterday.
he's so beautiful.
The story is it escaped its enclosure. This is a chimpanzee
Right.
and in the Indianapolis Zoo, and they had to
Right.
say on like the loudspeaker, this chimp has gotten out of its enclosure. Please stay put. And try
And
to
they can't figure out what's going on with him because it's pretty obvious.
yeah, there's just the face. We're gonna post this on Susan's Instagram or on the promo for this episode because to me he
I would
looks
love
like
to know if
caught.
you can find out. I just feel he's searching.
Oh.
Yeah,
It looks like a
he's
mugshot to
searching.
me. Like he was like, okay, you caught me.
Oh my God, I wish I would have met him. I think the calmest I felt was in the San Diego Zoo
Mm,
because it's more like being in the wild for them, but it's still an enclosure. I mean, they can't move very much,
right. Not like we would
but they
usually.
do good work there. I mean, I guess if it's for teaching kids and stuff like that, I think it's a good thing. And I think animals sacrifice their lives knowing they're coming in for food or they're coming in for a purpose to teach through their life, either to be kinder to animals or they're teaching compassion. I think they come in for a very specific purpose, just like our pets come in for a very specific time in our lives.
Mhm. Well, let's bring it back to dogs because it is coffee with dogs. We've heard all dogs go to heaven. Where do the souls of wild animals go?
I think they all go back to the spirit world, which
Yeah.
is the light. I think they all go back and they come back, they come back. They stay there. If they're done with their purpose through many reincarnations, I think they stay as angels.
Where can we find you, Susan?
SusanAllenMedium.com. Yay. I love doing this.
I do too. This was a fun one.
Oh, good.
Well, happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Coffee with Dogs. I'm your host, Susan Ellen Medium. I would love for you to rate and review the podcast wherever you listen. This helps everyone find me. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. From my soul to yours and from our animals to us all until we meet again.